Over 1 million American men and women have shed their life's blood for the freedom of our republic. And it continues to be done today.
Memorial Day is about remembering the sacrifice that our fellow Americans made, who paid the ultimate price with their life for freedom. So we need to remember that. And remember also that our country was purchased with that price, and we have to maintain our freedom. And so remembering our fallen comrades, the veterans who gave that sacrifice, is very, very important.
Memorial Day is a secular holiday, and I think it's the most important secular holiday that we have, because it is when we honor and remember those that have given the last full measure.
It's often been noted that it's the soldier that keeps us free, more than the politician, the journalist, and the teacher. But today, there's an anti-patriotic movement afoot.
I get very upset when I see people desecrating the flag. But it is a time on Memorial Day for us to reflect on the sacrifices. And can I just say that about 60% of today's generation, the young generation, is not proud to be Americans, and I would tell you that it's because they don't know history. We have our freedom largely because of these men and women that we remember on Memorial Day. But I also am one who would say we owe it to the Founding Fathers, the freedoms that they gave us, as they were inspired by God to leave us with a nation that provided us freedoms.
The founders declared their independence from Great Britain, but at the same time, they proclaimed their dependence upon Almighty God. They even hired chaplains for the military and legislatures.
You know, if you go back in history and look at George Washington's time as the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, he created the Chaplains Corps. He brought a chaplain there for his winter campaign, and had that chaplain there to not only be an encouragement to the men at Valley Forge, but also an encouragement to him, helping to nurture these men as well as the commander-in-chief himself through his knowledge of the scriptures and through his calling to be one who would uphold the truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And the chaplains have continued from Valley Forge, have continued to be an absolutely critical part of our military. You see, our soldiers should be mentally fit, physically fit, and spiritually fit. And that's the job of the chaplain. I think we are living in a time where it's more difficult to be a chaplain today than at any time in the history of the American military.
To have the constant attacks on religious liberty within the military is especially egregious. When they have our backs defending our religious liberty, the very least that we can do is stand up for them as well and take their backs in terms of being able to express themselves within the Corps as well.
There are so many attacks on the chaplains that are serving in our military service today, it's really frightening. Every GI who put on the uniform did so in part to uphold the right of his fellow Americans and the Americans that would follow him to have the freedoms that our Constitution was meant to preserve. And among the most important of those, the first liberty in our Constitution, is the free exercise of our religion.
In recent decades, we've seen lawsuits from the usual suspects to remove any Christian symbolism in the public arena, even on memorial gravestones.
This approach of the ACLU, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, etc., is an attempt to really change our country to something it never was, and I hope never will be. The chaplains are under a lot of pressure to bend their knee, to bow their knee to the government, instead of to the proper one that they should be bowing their knee.
Meanwhile, what is the military all about? In his classic speech, Duty, Honor, Country, delivered in 1962 at West Point, retiring General Douglas MacArthur pointed out what the goal of a nation's military should always be.
Your mission remains fixed determined, inviolable. It is to win our war.
The President of the United States, Joe Biden, got up to give really what was his first talk about our military.
Where we're making good progress designing body armor that fits women properly.
What did he talk about? That he had ordered them to start making flight suits that would accommodate pregnant women pilots, and helmets that would accommodate them being able to wear their hair down. Really? Really? That's your priorities? What do you think that did to the morale of our military? All that did was appeased his very radical left-wing base. But it didn't do anything to build the morale of our military, which is wanting him to say something about winning wars.
One allegation I've heard against the Biden administration, their policy towards the military right now, is basically purging from the military Trump supporters, conservatives, white supremacists, and they're using January 6th as a reason for doing that.
They're looking for people just like me that were supportive of the president. Now, I wasn't out on the mall that day, but I think they are looking for those kind of people, but rather than just throw them out because they have a MAGA tattoo or something, I think what you'll see is they will not promote them. I think that this president has to be very careful if he starts putting people out, because I do believe what he will see is a plethora of lawsuits that will ultimately wind up at the Supreme Court.
And what is your assessment of what happened on January 6th?
Thank you for asking me that, and there will be people that will not like my answer, but I wept. I sat and wept as I saw what was happening at our Capitol. There's no excuse for that, none.
Later on, after the inauguration, there was the military, in the perimeters of the fence, outside the U.S. Capitol, and they weren't even sleeping properly. They were sleeping in the garage in the cold. Comment on that?
Yeah, the way our National Guard troops were treated here in Washington when they were called in after January 6th was criminal. It was just criminal. And I mean, they even had them sleeping on the floor of the Capitol. They had a figure of about 25,000. Sir, this is the biggest con that America has ever seen. This is a big con. There's wire all around the Capitol. There's wire around the White House. There are National Guard troops with no guns, no equipment, out on the street. It's a con. And it's a con because what they're trying to do is convince people like you and me that we're the threat, that we're domestic terrorists.
As a veteran of the U.S. Army, I fought in the first Gulf War, and I think it's extremely important that our government stand up for the truth and for the values of our Constitution, which includes the First Amendment, which includes the right for people to believe and to worship and to express themselves. And it's very concerning that any administration should seek and target Christians or people of any faith because of their faith in the military.
They don't know the sacrifice those people made that we might be a great country. So Memorial Day is a very special time for me.
And our men and women are different from almost all other countries in the world because they're fighting for freedom and they're fighting for a way of life that the rest of the world looks to. And we treasure that in this country, but still we take it for granted over and over again.
On Memorial Day, we should all go to a cemetery, go to a cemetery and at least show your respects. What I would also encourage you to do is take a little flag, get a little flag, or get some flowers, and go and put it on a grave. And just as you stand there and you ponder who is in this grave, or that grave, or this grave over here, just know that they paid a price for this country, and they paid a price for our freedom.